Hello, and welcome to our webinar, Best Book Club Picks. I'm Susan Maguire, Senior Editor, Collection Management and Library Outreach for Adult Books here at Booklist. Before we begin, I'd like to go over some technical details. Links to today's slide presentation and title list were included in the reminder email you received from Zoom 1 hour ago. To download them, please open that email, scroll to the bottom, and click on the links located there. You can also download the slides and title list by typing the URLs on this screen into your web browser. If you have any trouble accessing these materials, please contact us at webinars@booklistonline.com. The audience is in listen-only mode, but we welcome any questions you may have. On the bottom of your screen is a toolbar with a button for Q&A. If you have a question or need technical assistance, simply click Q&A and type your message into the box that appears. We will do our best to respond to all tech-related questions, and we'll pass along all other questions to today's panelists so they can follow up with you after the webinar. Booklist offers closed captioning on all webinars. To enable or disable captions on your screen, please look for and click the captions icon on the toolbar mentioned earlier. From there, you can select show or hide captions from the menu that appears. If you choose to enable subtitles, you can adjust the size of the captions at any time by selecting caption settings. And finally, Booklist expects all participants to maintain an atmosphere of respect and fairness. Anyone who violates this standard of behavior, including engaging in any form of harassment, may, at the discretion of the organizers, be immediately removed. Today, we have the pleasure of hearing from Kendra Martin, Sales and Marketing Manager for Dundurn Press, Hallie Young, Library Marketing and Sales Assistant at Macmillan, Brianna Cornell, Sales Manager at Shadow Mountain, Grace Caternolo, Library Marketing Coordinator at HarperCollins, and Melissa Croce, Senior Marketing Manager at Simon & Schuster. First, we'll hear from Kendra Martin. Kendra is the Sales and Marketing Manager for Dundurn Press. She has been involved in many book clubs over the years and thinks book clubs are best paired with good company and good food. Her favorite genres to read lately are atmospheric police procedurals, literary fiction, and listening to fiction that makes her laugh. Thank you for joining us, Kendra.
Thanks, Susan. Hi, everyone. So I'm Kendra Martin, and Dundurn Press is one of Canada's largest independent book publishers. We seek to amplify and elevate exceptional Canadian voices, particularly those that have not yet been discovered or have been previously underrepresented in trade publishing. Dundurn's books are distributed by Ingram, and we also are available through library wholesalers. Next slide. I'm going to start out by taking you into the obsessive world of bird watching. The Birder Murder Mystery Series is a cozy vibes police procedural series that blends police work, bird watching, and ecological justice in these compelling, moody, plot-driven stories about a detective whose passion for bird watching, obsession really, allows him to solve crimes with his unique knowledge of the natural world. This 10th book in the series takes readers from Western Australia to a lithium plant on England's Norfolk coast, where a high-profile CEO has been killed under suspicious circumstances. So I suggest you give this series to readers of the Australian writer Jane Harper for a similar blend of the natural world along with serious detective work. Next. The next mystery series is a spin on the classic private eye crime fiction of Raymond Chandler. Patrick Bird is reluctantly pulled into a new case involving a missing tenant at his mother-in-law's rooming house. As Bird investigates, he uncovers information about a former tenant, James Earl Ray, who had assassinated Martin Luther King Jr. just weeks earlier and been hiding out in a room on the second floor. The case takes Bird and the police down a path of intrigue, reaching right into the center of one of the most infamous assassinations of the 20th century, leading our truculent PI to just about the toughest spot he could imagine. So if you want classic detective stories, but with a modern sensibility, I think you can look no further than this Patrick Bird series. We are now at 2 books. Next. This novel is Caribbean diaspora literature for readers of Ya Gayasi, Celeste Ng, and Edwidge Danticat, exploring the Black Caribbean female experiencing and really focusing on mothering as it's disrupted by migrations for work from a multi-generational perspective. The themes in We've Been Here Before of storytelling, generational trauma and resilience, and displaced mother figures are explored in this beautifully told generational story based off the author's own lineage. Next. This is Oyster. It's a sly look at the pretenses of book publishing. And it's also set against the backdrop of a family falling apart in the wake of a patriarch's death. The four adult siblings must decide what to do with the family farm, even as their lives and careers are careening out of control. The central tension is between an aunt and her niece who have collaborated on a book together, and their joint deceit around this book rocks the easily scandalized world of books almost to its core. And I think this book, Oyster, would be great for book clubs that discussed Where'd You Go, Bernadette, or Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine. And I think they'll really enjoy this one. Next, I want to turn to true crime. So, No Memory for Murder is a story that picks up on the themes of the 70s and 80s satanic panic that swept the country, where a small maritime city was rocked by two high profile murders and the questionable trial that saw killers' delusional imaginings play out on the bench with visions of this sexy cult leader and devil worship bringing fuel to the fears of the community, and ended up leaving whispers about this case for years after within the city. So, any book club that is interested in true crime or the idea of fake news will be fascinated to dissect this book together. Next, I want to go back to some fiction. So while there's much written about romantic relationships in fiction, we don't have enough stories that unpack the messy parts of female friendship. One Day, Hard and Clear follows the lives of two high school best friends after graduation, as they grow up and grow apart when their decisions about love, babies, and careers take them into different places. It's about getting over intense school friendships and finding a path and a self power when you drift apart from friends who were once really your whole world. I do think friendship stories are having a moment right now, and this could be great for either a romance book club looking to branch out or a contemporary fiction book club as well. Next, if you are looking for literature that explores the world, this sweet novel is a love letter to the city of Istanbul, and also to the idea of returning home after living abroad and rediscovering that city of yours. So just like the Turkish delight candy that the title comes from, Lokum is sweetly uplifting and brings delicious remembrances of home to the fore. Next, Becoming is a novel that explores identity, sex drive, immigrant trauma, and making hard decisions about love and career. It's a delayed coming of age about a woman sort of on the cusp of turning 30, and it's perfect, I'd say, for readers of Sally Rooney and Dolly Alderton. Polish immigrant Gosia is becalmed in her career as a teacher and in her sexual relationship with her boyfriend Peter. Through a series of encounters with family, friends, and colleagues over the course of a pivotal year, she reflects on her parents' mistakes, develops a burgeoning attraction to a female colleague, and has the scales fall off her eyes about her boyfriend's father, whom she idolized. She learns that parents aren't perfect, relationships take communication and commitment, and she ends up making decisions about her life with Peter and her future career based off all these experiences of her 30th year. Next slide. I wanted to quickly mention this anthology of short fiction, and it's all around the idea of what monster means to a variety of contemporary writers that we asked to be part of this collection. So, monsters, unsettling short stories. The result of this is a blend of stories from horror, crime, and fantasy genres. And these stories all explore that human fear that we may all be monsters. And if we are a monster, would we know it? And I just think this collection would be great for horror or even a Halloween themed book club. Next. I want to move away from fiction here. So, Carrying War is a memoir in essays that reflects on the long arc of experiencing war during the author's childhood. She was the daughter of a peacekeeper stationed in Lebanon during the Civil War in the 1980s. So Tanya looks at ways that the trauma and fear from 40 years ago essentially echo in her life now as an adult, and how she has developed ways to sort of overcome that fear that can often have its grip on her. The essays in Carrying War are a soul-soothing reflection on how trauma shapes us and reshapes us over the years of our life. And yet, the path to healing comes in unexpected ways, like chance encounters in a Costco line or a taxi on your way to a hotel, about learning new skills, like picking up the cello at the age of 40, and just being open to ways to release that fear that sort of has its grip on you and keeps coming back to you. So it's a really beautiful collection. Next slide. So this Fire and Silence is a guide for leaders of color who want to navigate their workplace or organization with both authority and compassion. Fire and Silence offers a roadmap to leaders using compassion instead of trauma, authority without victimhood, and strength inclusive of vulnerability in ways that are fair to all. Speaking directly to BIPOC leaders and leaders to be, this practical guide will offer a gateway to discussion of how to achieve authority and recognition as a racial minority within an organization. And the author herself has been a DEI consultant for over 20 years to a variety of corporations and organizations. So she really developed this book out of her own consulting and working with various leaders. She's also a woman of color who has been a leader herself. So she's essentially just working to create more inclusivity and compassion in workplaces and organizations, starting with the leaders. And I think this could be a great discussion point. Last slide. Just want to thank you so much for your time today. And if you would like to receive a digital galley of any of our books, you're welcome to email me directly, or you can also find us on NetGalley and Edelweiss. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kendra. Next, we'll hear from Hallie Young. Hallie is the Library Marketing and Sales Assistant at Macmillan. She joined Macmillan after earning her Master of Arts in Writing, Literature, and Publishing from Emerson College in 2024. She's a lifelong library devotee who truly lives by the read everything motto. So whether she's clutching a spine-tingling horror novel, a literary soul crusher, or a heartfelt rom-com, she is likely in her happy place. Thanks for being here today, Hallie.
Thank you for the intro, Susan. Hello, everyone. Just a few things before we get started. Here are all the ways that you can get in touch with us online. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions at all about any of the books that I'm going to be talking about today. Slide, please. And if you are not already whitelisted for automatic downloads on Edelweiss, send us an email and we will get you set up. Slide. And please feel free to join us on Mondays at 4 p.m. for a happy half hour series where our library marketing department gets together to talk about all the upcoming books that we are excited about. And slide. And since this is the book club webinar, be sure to check out our Big Book Club's resource guide, where you can stay up to date with book club news, sweepstakes, discussion guides, and more. And now, of course, on to the books. Next, please. Starting off with Hot Girl Murder Club by Ashley Winstead. This buzzy, bloody new thriller by the best-selling author is all about success, sisterhood, and demanding justice by any means necessary. Aspiring singer-actress Scout has spent 10 years honoring her sister George's mysterious death by clawing her way through Hollywood and collecting a network of climbers along the way, fellow hot girls in stilettos with cutthroat ambition. But now when targeted murders make headlines across LA, all pointing to Scout, she must prove her innocence to save everything she's worked for and find justice for her sister. A little fun fact about this book is that the main character is very Taylor Swift coded. So this would be great for any Swifties, in addition to fans of Ruth Ware's The It Girl and or Ashley Flowers' The Missing Half. Slide, please. Next, we have The Force Becomes Her by Julie Carrick Dalton. Now, this one is a story of three women from different generations who live in a new eco-friendly housing development. But soon the centuries-old forest that used to be there begins to call to them as they deal with their own traumas. The three women are drawn together to save the last remaining oak tree, or they risk losing themselves to lingering shadows that only they can see. Sprinkled with magical realism, the novel opens up conversations about the world around us, sisterhood, and female rage, while exploring three stages of womanhood and our human connection to the natural world. Next, please. Next, we have Tenderness by Rowan Beard, which is actually the last book that I read and absolutely loved. From the author of The Divorcees comes a novel set in the 1970s during an island wedding where whispers of unease fill the air. The bride has just left a sinister cult, and some guests swear that they have seen people with shaved heads roaming the island. Now, why would someone like Shay, an Ivy League graduate with a wealthy fiance, join Cyanon? And has she truly escaped their grasp? So many questions remain unanswered, and Shay's little brother, William, and her longtime friend, Joel, are searching for the truth. Believe you, when you hear this one is really a wedding novel with a twist. It unfolds as a slow burn mystery, and it really reads as though Emma Cline wrote The Wedding People. Next, please. And now we are back in Hollywood with Olivia Blake's new Dreamland. In this one, Anya Morris knows that she is destined to be an actor, but that reality is feeling more impossible by the day, until she receives a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to work for one of LA's most influential film dynasties. Soon, she's spending her days and nights at their strange villa in the Hollywood Hills, where she meets Jude, the family's heir apparent and its most closely guarded secret. The villa holds generations of secrets, and an occult family curse may even live within its walls, or within Jude himself. In LA, everyone cuts a deal with the devil, but when Anya comes face to face with a devil of her own, she'll learn just how far she's willing to go to get everything she has ever wanted. This truly is Olivia Blake at her best, with themes of power and privilege, a hint of true crime vibes, and a dark romantic undertone. Next slide, please. And then we have The Minimalist by Kaylee Peterson. When Mia's mentor dies, the ambitious classical composer returns to her mentor's home to finish his mysterious final manuscript while confronting a tragic past. As the music exerts a disturbing hold over her, she spirals into a harrowing, self-destructive descent into madness. This genre-bending Gothic story seamlessly blends contemplative psychological drama with the gruesome, merciless horror that Kaylee Peterson is known for. And although the acts of the book are entirely fictional, Peterson actually draws upon her own experience as an adoptee and a classical musician to craft this story that is so real. Next slide. Then we have Paper Ghosts by Sarah Addison Allen. This atmospheric tale follows the enigmatic Wester women of North Carolina, a family defined by whispered secrets in a reclusive estate where the rainy season brings deep-seated anxiety. As Bailey Wester returns home 18 years after a scandalous departure, she must confront her grandmother's fateful past to determine if generational curses can finally be broken. Sarah Addison Allen's lyrical prose and magical realism weave a story of identity and the heavy weight of family legacies. The book serves as a compelling book club pick with its rich, discussion-worthy themes of inherited trauma, the cost of secrets, and of course, the transformative power of returning to one's roots. Next, please. This one is one I'm so excited for. It's Fallow by Sarah Anderson. And it is a hilarious, provocative, connection-seeking novel that brings our world's expectation into mad, brilliant relief. Seeking an escape from the grind, Natalie becomes the world's first in-house corporate surrogate, trading her bodily autonomy for a life of luxury and total financial security. However, as the experimental program nears its end, a sudden staffing shift forces her to confront the true cost of her freedom and what it means to exist within a system that commodifies every part of her. It will delight fans of social satires like Yellowface and Apple TV's Severance, as well as novels about human connections like Such a Fun Age and Tomorrow, Tomorrow, and Tomorrow. It's such a cool cover too. Next slide, please. And now for any horror book clubs out there, this is Night Jars by Michael Wehunt, and it is Memento meets Dracula. On a rainy first date, Luke's crush vanishes, leaving behind a photo of Luke as a child standing near a corpse and a masked man, an event that he doesn't remember ever happening. When more photos surface, he spirals back into the paranoia and repressed memories he's fought so far to leave behind. Haunted by the legacy of his father, a serial killer who bled his victims dry, Luke becomes the prime suspect in a string of ritualistic slayings. Now, to clear his name, Luke must chase his father's darkness through a centuries-old secret and learn what monsters truly are, and decide if he is one of them. Next slide. Then we have Names of the New World by Kwai Strong Washburn. And if you are looking for a sprawling modern epic that balances high-stakes climate activism with intimate human drama, this truly is a must-read. After a ferocious superstorm decimates Minneapolis, 3 survivors forge a bond that spans 25 years. When Naomi discovers that energy companies caused the climate-induced disaster, she launches a bitter legal battle that propels her to a powerful political office in Washington, D.C. Her political rise, though, risks a burgeoning romance with Amare, whose own ambitions test Naomi's ethical limits, while Naheem's fate as a small business owner depends on the couple's growing power. This one is perfect for readers who enjoy character-driven sagas like The Overstory or Green Dot. Pick this for your next book club if you want a story that doesn't just dwell on the end of the world, but offers an energetic and optimistic version of how we might actually survive it. And slide, please. And last but not least is Bad Words by Rhiannoch Robinson, one of my favorite reads of this past year. I love this so much. In this one, Parker was a novelist whose debut became the literary flop of the decade, thanks to a scathing review by the notorious critic Selena. Now, 4 years later, Parker's new novel offers him a shot at redemption, and Selena is the last person who wants to review it, but she's given no choice. When their professional friction explodes into a viral public feud, the literary world takes sides. But while their battle rages in the headlines, a different conversation begins in private, sparked by a chance encounter on a snowy New York evening. Bad Words tackles timely themes like cancel culture, the corporatization of art, the politics of storytelling, while movingly exploring the families we choose and the fragile nature of self-worth. Deeply meaningful and intensely personal, Bad Words is a testament to the power of books to shape and save the people devoted to them. Like I said, I devoured this in 2 days. It is smart, magnetic, and a genuine genre-redefining romance. So please do yourself a favor and go pick this one up. And slide. And that is all for me. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Hallie. Next, we'll hear from Brianna Cornell. Bree is not at all surprised that her love for libraries and cats led her to a career in publishing. She holds a bachelor's degree in English from Weber State University and serves as sales manager at Shadow Mountain Publishing. The floor is yours, Bree.
Hello everyone, thanks so much for tuning into the webinar. My name is Bree Cornell. I'm going to be sharing with you some of Shadow Mountain's 2026 releases that would be perfect for book clubs. For those who aren't familiar with us, our specialty is clean reads, just meaning that our books are without gratuitous sex, language, or violence. So let's go ahead and jump into the titles. We're going to kick things off with historical fiction. We'll start things off with Three Queens by Rebecca Connolly. This one actually just came out this week. It's inspired by real events, including documented meetings and correspondence between Abigail Adams, Queen Charlotte, and Marie Antoinette. It is the first novel to explore a fictional sisterhood between these three iconic women as they navigate the aftermath of war, the rise of revolution, and the pressures of royalty. Through letters, private encounters, and shared trials, they forge bonds that transcend politics and geography. Connolly, a best-selling author of historical fiction, is known for her emotionally resonant storytelling and meticulous research. Her latest work continues with that tradition, offering a compelling blend of historical accuracy and imaginative insight. It's perfect for book clubs, historical fiction shelves, and readers seeking stories that center women's voices in pivotal moments of history. Silk and Sensibility is a charming retelling from debut author Mengji Sealy of Jane Austen's Sense and Sensibility, set in Ming Dynasty China, where two sisters must balance duty, desire, and the cultural expectations of womanhood to claim their own happiness. This novel offers rich emotional depth along with vivid cultural details that appeal to readers of historical fiction interested in non-Western perspectives and underrepresented time periods. The dual POV structure, told through two sisters, a painter and a musician, and the story's strong emotional core built on female relationships explores the timeless questions facing women, making it ideal for book clubs and readers who value character-driven narratives. All right, our last historical fiction offering is Webs of Ink, also by Rebecca Connolly. This one takes place in early 1920s London. We follow Maud West, who has gained a public reputation as London's lady detective, though the title is largely of her own making. Her self-written newspaper accounts bring her notoriety, but not the professional respect she craves. When a frightened woman comes to her office claiming she is being stalked, Maud senses a rare opportunity, only to discover her client's troubles are tied to a gang, and soon Maud herself becomes a target. Together, the celebrated detective and the rising mystery writer Agatha Christie become entangled in a dangerous, twisting web that will test their ingenuity, courage, and trust. Ideal for fans of Agatha Christie, historical crime, and true crime narratives. Webs of Ink is book club friendly with rich discussion angles. Next, we'll cover a few romance titles. We are so excited to be publishing a contemporary romance for the first time in quite a few years. This is Every Bee After, coming from Sarah B. Larson. You may recognize her from her young adult fantasy offerings. This is her adult fiction debut. In the story, we follow Liv Carlson, a heart transplant survivor running her family's Swedish bakery while grappling with fear and uncertainty. When guarded and cynical Hunter moves in next door, their reluctant partnership to save the bakery sparks a connection neither expected. But as their bond deepens, a devastating revelation threatens to unravel everything Liv has fought for. With book club appeal, timely themes, and a romance that's both swoon-worthy and soul-stirring, this novel is perfect for fans of Emily Henry and Catherine Center. Jane Austen meets Pirates of the Caribbean in A Lady's Guide to Love and Pirates by Jennifer Moore. This is an enemies-to-lovers romance between a strong-willed lady and a charismatic captain, packed with high-seas adventure, treasure hunts, and irresistible chemistry that is as charming as it is heart-thumpingly daring. It is inspired by the real-life tale of ocean-born Mary Wallace, born in July 1720 on a ship in the Atlantic Ocean. A Lady's Guide to Love and Pirates is part of our Proper Romance collection, which boasts award-winning, best-selling stories of clean content, including more than 25 starred reviewed novels. I also wanted to give everyone a heads up that we are doing deluxe editions of Edenbrook and Blackmore, which are two of our best-selling proper romance titles. They have been adored by romance book clubs for years and years, and we're giving them a new life by doing these deluxe editions with sprayed and stenciled edges. There will also be never-before published bonus content in each book, and so those come out this November. And with that, we will move on to mystery and thriller offerings. Our first thriller offering is Staged Evidence by Tracy Hunter Abramson. This is a high-stakes thriller set against the glamorous backdrop of television studios and Broadway stages. With her signature blend of political suspense, romance, and emotional depth, Abramson once again proves why she is a trusted name in the clean thriller market. When assistant to a top talent agent, Tessa Seidel stumbles upon a murder scene while delivering costumes to a TV set, she becomes the prime suspect in a case that spirals into a deadly game of deception. Fleeing to the Hamptons, she finds unexpected refuge with a Broadway playwright, and with his help discovers that the killer may be closer than they think. All right, next up is Silent Strike by Tracy Hunter Abramson. This is book 3 of the Luke Still series, so we are following Luke and Amberlynn Rayner yet again. When whispers of betrayal swirl inside the White House, Luke is drawn into a web of political corruption and hidden agendas that threaten not just the presidency, but the stability of the entire nation. FBI agent Amberlynn Rayner never expected her late grandmother to leave behind coded documents and obituaries linking to a string of suspicious deaths. As Amberlynn digs deeper, she uncovers whispers of Cold War poisons, vanished operatives, and secrets someone will kill to bury, connected directly to a network that didn't die within the fall of the Iron Curtain. The biggest difference between this series that we're talking about on this slide and the one that we talked about on the last slide is the Luke Still series leans more into the action and political intrigue that Tracy offers, whereas on the last slide, the Staged Evidence, that leads more into the romance and the drama. On to You Had Me at Bigfoot by Nancy Campbell Allen. This is a clever and atmospheric mystery set in the Pacific Northwest. With a dynamic protagonist duo and a slow-burn romantic thread, this novel blends the charm of a cozy mystery with the suspense of a high-stakes criminal investigation. The setting, rich with Pacific Northwest legends, including Bigfoot lore and buried treasure, adds irresistible depth and mood. And with their loyal dogs by their sides, Daphne and Clark bring heart and humor to a story that's as twisty as it is entertaining. This mystery offers a fresh take on amateur sleuthing with a backdrop that's equal parts glamorous and eerie. And to finish, I have just a couple of nonfiction book club offerings. A Wheelie Awkward Romance is a candid and wildly funny memoir where Tess and Corby share the unexpected journey of their online romance, one shaped by humor, honesty, and the realities of living with disability. What begins with a perfectly punctuated dating profile evolves into a relationship that challenges assumptions and celebrates possibility. With laugh-out-loud footnotes called wheel notes, awkward firsts, and evening wheelchair walks, this book offers a deeply personal look at love, resilience, and the messy beauty of connection. It's a standout in the nonfiction relationship genre, offering perspectives on disability and mental health in a way that's both approachable and inspiring. In Love Keeps Showing Up, Adasa, the voice of Dolores from Encanto, and Oscar, Grammy, and Golden Globe recipient, shares her extraordinary story from humble beginnings to global stages, and the life-altering illness that nearly silenced her voice. With raw honesty and radiant faith, Adasa invites readers behind the scenes of her career, her family, and her miraculous recovery. This memoir is more than a celebrity story, it's a testament to resilience, faith, and the healing power of love. Featuring QR codes linking to 12 original songs by Adasa, personal photographs, and behind-the-scenes moments from Encanto and beyond, this book offers a multimedia experience that's as uplifting as it is unforgettable. And finally, we have Her America, which is coming from one of our best-selling historical fiction offerings, Heather B. Moore. This is nonfiction that recognizes 8 remarkable women who refused to wait for permission to prove a woman's worth in society, fighting for American independence, the abolition of slavery, women's suffrage, and civil rights with their pens and voices. Through vivid fictional vignettes and meticulously researched nonfiction accounts, the book immerses readers in these women's crucial role in transforming the nation. Where other collections repeat only familiar names, Her America dares to tell the overlooked stories, such as Jovita Adar's fight for civil rights and cultural heritage preservation, and Marguerite Higgins' frontline reporting, revealing a fuller portrait of America's influential women. Okay, that's everything. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And thanks to all the amazing librarians and booksellers in the audience who are doing amazing things for our communities. We really appreciate you. You are welcome to email me if you have questions, or you can also browse our Edelweiss catalog or website. And yeah, thanks to Booklist for hosting. That's all from me.
Thank you so much, Bree. Next, we'll hear from Grace Cadernolo. Grace is the library marketing coordinator at HarperCollins Publishers. When she's not tying up odds and ends for the Library Love Fest team, you can find her reading coming-of-age novels next to her cat or watching TikTok for work purposes. Take it away, Grace.
Hey, thank you. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here today. And thank you for having me booklist. So our next slide. Before we get into the books, I just want to remind you that we're always here for you. We offer auto approval on our e-galleys, on NetGalley and Edelweiss, along with our advanced listener copies, where you can listen to audiobooks prior to their release date. And you can email me to get auto approved. Additionally, we have a lot of virtual programs, our monthly book buzz called Galley Gab Fest. Reminder that we're going to be pre-recording June's. And also Writers to Watch, which is our monthly author program, and we'll be off for June, but back in July. And next, I'm really excited to tell you about the book club campaign that Lainey and I are cooking up. So keep an eye out for this. It'll be up on librarylovefest.com, and we will have reading guides available for forthcoming releases. Here's a couple that we'll be featuring. And on the next slide, you'll also see paperback releases that will be coming out. So we'll have reading guides and a catalog, and it'll be coming to you soon. So, all right, getting into the books on the next slide, we have a few that are coming up that I want to remind you of. We have You'll Love It Here by Natalie Sue. It's this funny, tender novel about a woman, her nosy neighbors, and self-discovery. Think of it as like a grown-up breakfast club. And we had Natalie on Writers to Watch, so you can check that out on our YouTube. And we also have City of Widows. Nadia Hashimi was also on Writers to Watch, so you can hear her talk directly about it. This book follows 3 women in Afghanistan in the years following the Taliban regaining power. So it's this gorgeous story about resistance and reinvention, and I think it'll just be so great for book clubs. And Chosen Family, this is set across 18 years. It's about messy friendship, a feud, unrequited love affair, and I think it's going to be like this queer modern classic. So our first book that I'm going to tell you about in full on the next slide is Partita by Barbara Kingsolver. I'm so excited about this. I feel like I just had to start off with a big bang. So Demon Copperhead, Barbara's previous novel, won the 2023 Pulitzer Prize for fiction. She's just so beloved, and I cannot even like accurately convey the excitement for this one. It's about a woman named Livia who is content enough with her marriage and modest living in this rural farming country that she grew up in. But an old lover unexpectedly calls her, and she's thoroughly shaken up by this. It feels like a lifetime has passed since she knew him, and when he knew her, she was a student at this music conservatory who was completely detached from her family, and all she had was this like love of music and passion for piano. So he asks to see her again, and all of these things that she had shoved down come bubbling to the surface. And as the story goes from past to present, she has to confront these memories that have been haunting her, including childhood loss, abandonment, and heartbreak. And you'll have to read to find out whether or not she agrees to meet with him. It's a really great novel touching on class and ambition and the power of art. So I think book clubs are just going to really eat this one up. Next, we have another exciting one. So Life Out of Order. So Audrey Niffenegger is the best-selling author of The Time Traveler's Wife, and she's back with a sequel to that story that we all loved. This follows Alba, the daughter of Henry and Claire from The Time Traveler's Wife, and she was born shortly after 9/11 to this like really tumultuous point in history. She's also a time traveler like her father, and she slips through these decades unpredictably, which brings this like burden of all these futures that she can't change. And she tries to maintain this like normal life by indulging in her love of music. But because she's a time traveler, she has to keep all these secrets from those that she's close to. And with every leap through the years, she has to reckon with the choices that define her, the people she can't let go of, and the question that haunts every time traveler, which is, can you ever truly belong to the present? Audrey herself describes this as a novel of love and music and politics and a time of change. And there's a really great video of her talking about the book on Native Life, so you can check out. It's extra content on there. So next we have True Confessions of First Lady Freeman by Disha Filia. We are so excited about this. So this her debut story collection, The Secret Lives of Church Ladies, won the PEN/Faulkner Award for Fiction and was a finalist for the National Book Award. She's got 2 podcasts, used to be a judge for New York Society Libraries Book Prize, and now we have her like first novel. It's very, very exciting. This follows Charisse Freeman, who ditched her humble roots, married a megachurch pastor 15 years her senior, and has been labeled too brash, too of the world by church folks who grudgingly accept her into their fold. And she's also too holy by her estranged childhood best friend's point of view. So she's kind of in the between these worlds, but that doesn't stop her from building this business empire. When she's turning 40, she gets this final bit of validation that she's always dreamt of, this invitation to participate in the First Lady USA pageant. So the ice between her and the other First Ladies begin to thaw, but as the pageant nears, the sensational scandal breaks out, and she's at the center of it. So all of these feelings of shame and terrible secrets come back. It's very funny and frank, and I just think there's a lot to be discussed. Next, Female Life on Planet Earth. This is our lead read, which is a program that the sales team does, showcasing people's favorite reads of the season. So this was our fall season pick. And this is the first book since her critically acclaimed award-winning Kurdish trilogy. It's a slice of life novel that focuses on an Iranian American woman living in the US. So it starts in the year of Hattie's mother's death, and it moves through her days of grief that is upended by the arrival of an unmarked package containing photographs of her mother as a young woman. And as we view one woman's journey of grief, she plans her mother's one-year memorial, and we hear generations of women telling her how they make sense of the world around them. And it has this bittersweet read like Catherine Newman's We All Want Impossible Things, and you'll read it in one gulp. Lainey in particular was a huge fan. It's lyrical and kind of moves in a really dreamlike way. Next, we have The Occidental Book of the Dead by T. Geronimo Johnson. So you probably know this PEN/Faulkner finalist and National Book Award long-listed author. He wrote Welcome to Braggsville, and we're really excited for this novel. I also like very obsessed with this cover. I think it's beautiful. So this book follows a Black cop in Atlanta whose facade of white alliance falls apart after a murder. So George Johnson grew up poor and enlisted in the army to forge a new life. When he ends up back home in 1992, he joins the police force, and his partner is this like shady legacy cop. So 10 years go by, and Johnson has this new life that he wanted. He lives in a suburb with his wife and stepson, and things get turned upside down one night on patrol after a confrontation with a white teen takes a violent turn. And a single gunshot sets in motion a series of lies and presents 2 contrasting versions of this American experience. So it's very bold and inventive, spanning 2 decades, and it talks about the complexities of the South and is an exploration of these like systems of corruption and conspiracy. Next, we have Wildwood by Ashley Wu. So this is a Gothic debut. I'm ending on kind of like 2 creepy-ish notes. So this book and then our next one, a little creepy. So this is a fantastic Gothic novel for book clubs that are looking for something a little spookier. So this newly pregnant and freshly unemployed woman, Eleanor, inherits this family estate. And she goes to Wildwood in rural Vermont to hopefully nest and, raise a baby with her husband. But she gets there, and almost immediately she starts to feel very uneasy. The house is super unfamiliar to her as she's been estranged from her family for years, and she has little to go off of except these like brief snippets of childhood memories that are very blurry to her. But she becomes obsessed with this like mural in the primary bedroom. It's like a 19th century mural that she calls the Forest of the Dead. And soon enough, she's like those weird dreams that she's having start to kind of feel like memories and visions of something really horrible that happened. And she yearns to uncover this mystery of her family, like why it fell apart, and the secrets hidden in the house in the woods. And she has to answer when the forest of the dead calls to her. So lots of topics of family history, wealth disparity, and it has lots of twists and turns. Next, we have Call Off the Dark. While this is a thriller, it has incredible emotional depth and it makes a great book club pick. So Helen's soulmate, Tyler, dies and she marries a man who's basically a stranger to her, and his name is Wade. And the two go off grid to this farmhouse in rural Washington. And in this like new trad wife sort of role, she kind of feels like she's just like not made for canning food and sewing dresses. And she's really haunted by her insomnia and PTSD, and she's always thinking about, her late love, Tyler. But her routine is broken when Wade's mysterious brother Isaac shows up, and Wade is shocked, rightfully so, because Isaac died in a farming accident years ago. But Helen isn't really sure what to believe. Like, is she being manipulated? Is her mind playing tricks on her? So she reckons with these secrets and grief and uncertainty. And then next, finishing up with two books, both coming in 2027. I just really had to tell you about them because I'm very excited, especially Red Cherry by Maggie Thrash. She's the author of Rainbow Black, which is one of my probably in my top 5 favorite books ever. And this is a queer spy drama and love story set during the Cold War. And then we have Wife and Wife by Elizabeth Harris. She wrote How to Sleep at Night. And this new novel follows two women who meet as housewives in the 1950s and eventually marry in the 2010s. It's this gorgeous story of love, discovery, and defiance. And last slide, I think that is it from me. So thank you, everybody. Feel free to email me with any questions, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Grace. Finally, we'll hear from Melissa Crouchy. Melissa is the Senior Marketing Manager for Adult Library Titles at Simon & Schuster. She's been with the company since 2020, and when she's not reading everything from romance novels to poetry to narrative nonfiction, she likes to root for her many favorite hockey teams, play D&D, and watch K-dramas. Thanks for joining us, Melissa.
Thank you so much for having me, Susan. Yes, I'm here to round everything off, and I've tried to pick a variety of titles that will hopefully appeal to a variety of book clubs so we can get started. Next. First up, we have The Radiance by Ayat Akhtar. A mysterious accident along a country road sparks an awakening and an investigation in the Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright and acclaimed novelist's most daring work yet. When a hit and run shatters more than his body, a writer is caught between revelation and madness as an uncanny pull towards a brilliant campus colleague ensnares him in a scandal that threatens to destroy them both. What begins as a provocative portrait of academic and cultural warfare deepens into erotic entanglement, the exposure of a family secret, and the mystery surrounding the narrator's accident, both the violence and its aftermath. This is for book clubs who love to ask and attempt to answer life's biggest questions. Next. Trad Wife by Sarah Langan. Every day, millions watch Mia Wright, the tradwife queen, on her idyllic 300-acre farm. With her handsome husband, 7 perfect children, and a life of from-scratch meals and pastoral bliss, she's an icon of, quote, modern femininity. But behind every perfect image is a secret. Journalist Jenny Kaplan arrives at Black Swan Farm to profile Mia. Jenny is ready to write a scathing expose, determined to expose the deception behind Mia's curated life. But soon, Jenny has more to contend with than staged videos and picture-perfect poses. There is something very wrong at this farmhouse, something that slithers through Jenny's dreams. She's losing time, she's losing hair, and she starts to worry that she's losing her mind. There is a horror at the heart of Black Swan, and it is waiting just for Jenny. This is good for book clubs who like to keep up with current hot topics, but also like some genre on the side. Next. An American Girl, How a Billion-Dollar Doll and Its Unlikely Founder Changed Girlhood Forever by Amanda Fitzsimmons. Author Amanda Fitzsimmons takes readers inside Rollin's meticulous and at times obsessive creative process and the complex, often conflicted legacy of her creation, the American Girl doll. The book explores how American Girl became a cultural touchstone, navigating the cross currents of third wave feminism, the rise of consumer culture, and contentious debates over historical accuracy and representation. It dissects the brand's complicated relationship with race, class, and diversity, from the groundbreaking introduction of Addie Walker to the critiques of its aspirational price point. An American Girl is a compelling, eminently readable love letter to the entrepreneurial genius of a brand that has maintained its grasp on public consciousness for decades. This is great for book clubs who are hungry for nostalgia and for examining the ways in which our childhoods shaped us. Next. The Four Wives and Five Deaths of Richard Milford by Nafisa Thompson Spires. This is from the author of the multi-award winning National Book Award long-listed story collection, Heads of the Colored People. And this is a sly, spry, tall tale of a debut novel. Small town 1920s Oklahoma, and Rich Milford is dead. At last. Richard Milford was an infamous moonshiner and womanizer, and it seems finally he crossed the wrong person at the wrong time. He's dead and buried with no one but his women to mourn him, but a question remains: who killed him and why? The top suspects, of course, are his four quote-unquote wives, Lolly, Sophronia, Georgette, and Vivian. But as their stories burst to light in a volley of competing narratives, the very idea of a true story and what that actually means comes apart before the reader's eyes. This slim volume is packed to the brim with big personalities and is perfect for book clubs just starting out or easing back into things after a long hiatus. Next. I Never Knew You at All by Christine Pride and Joe Piazza. Best-selling authors and co-writing duo Christine Pride and Joe Piazza are back with a gripping new novel where a Black woman's past collides with her present, unveiling a decades-old mystery that forces her to confront her beliefs about race, love, justice, and her interracial marriage. When Simone marries into Alex Hartwell's wealthy white family, she trades her career ambitions for comfort and fully embraces her role as a stay-at-home mother. But when Kwame, Simone's ex-boyfriend, suddenly arrives in Springville with the journalistic career she always imagined for herself, her contentment begins to crumble. Worse still, his newest story has brought him right to her doorstep as he starts digging into a decades-old unsolved murder of a young Black man who attended the Tate School, the same elite prep school that Alex's family has attended for generations. When he uncovers a startling connection to the Hartwells, Simone is forced to choose between protecting the family legacy she married into or honoring Kwame's quest for justice. This is for book clubs who are unafraid to delve deep into a variety of issues through the lens of fiction. Next. Live Like a Citizen, 8 Ways to Change Your Mindset and Our Country by Eric Liu. This is a guide to creating hope and healing in American civil life. We all know that we live in a time of fracture and lost faith, but most Americans don't want this feeling. Most of us, the exhausted majority, want to be invited into something better. That's the call of Live Like a Citizen, to give everyone the tools to turn away from the resentment and cynicism eroding democratic life, to turn towards a healthier way of living together. Eric Liu, CEO of Citizen University, gives readers 8 practices for rekindling our belief in democracy and our own humanity. Each chapter centers on a single verb, an elemental civic way to be and to be with. Give this to book clubs who aren't afraid to talk politics and to dream of a better future. Next. Off the Reservation by Stephen Graham Jones. Nate Yellowtail is one of the survivors of the deadly revenge murders of Stephen's breakout bestseller, The Only Good Indians. 5 years after that massacre on the Blackfeet Reservation, Nate finds himself in the hospital after a terrible accident that should have killed him, and one that nearly killed his best friend, Sebi, who is hanging onto life close by. When Nate is given the chance to reset his life and maybe save Sebi in the process, he takes it. This time it's into a camper van that is almost as run down as his broken body, filled with 3 older Blackfeet. Their mission is to find the bones of the lone Blackfeet boy who died at the Carlisle Indian Industrial School and repatriate the boy home. The problem is, when they get the bones, something terrible has escaped with them. Jones has crafted another American Indian novel for our times. Give this to your horror book clubs. Next. Peck and Peck by Bonnie Garmis. The #1 New York Times bestselling author of Lessons in Chemistry returns with an irresistible, delightful, and tender story. 20-something Batter Gray is worried about his future. Other people his age want good, stable careers, but this New York City transplant wants something different, something that alienates some people, poetry. When he gets a job at the renowned poetry journal Peck and Peck, Batter finds himself enmeshed in family drama and interoffice politics. He is determined to uncover what the truth is behind the very prestigious and secretive journal and its legacy. Batter learns that there aren't just two sides to every story, there are three. My department actually had a little book club with this title. It made for such a fun time. I think of this as a payoff book where a lot of threads are woven, and it takes a lot of time for them to come together. But when they do, like I couldn't put it down. I read the last 40% of this book in one sitting. I think this book is perfect for any reader or book club that enjoys Wes Anderson movies in particular. Next. All right, Needlemouth by Kei Ming Chen. This is from the award-winning author of Bestiary. Cousin Cindy, Yang Yang, and Mandy's hot, tedious summer unfolds in their grandmother's hauntingly familiar house. The eldest, Mandy, seeks connection online. Yang Yang, the youngest, retreats into her own imagination. But every morning, middle cousin Cindy wakes with strange objects in her mouth. A button, a berry, a coin. One night, a starved figure with a mouth the size of a needle tip appears at Cindy's bedside. She is hunger afflicted, a demon with no descendants to feed from. She is the Needlemouth. Part vampire, part hungry ghost, Needlemouth forces the girls into a grim task to end a man's life. The cousins are plunged in and out of the demon realm, where they are called to break out of the indifference and numbness of their worlds, and where they are met with the most rageful and resistant part of themselves. In a quest to satisfy the demon's hunger, they unravel their shared grief and reckon with the cyclical violence that shaped their family. Hand this book to readers of Akwaeke Emezi and Carmen Maria Machado. Next. The Queen of Roses by Julia Kelly. This is for historical fiction and PBS lovers. When frustrated reporter Teresa Johnson's life changes when she receives a phone call from a Miss Pierce, who claims that her obituary about one of Pasadena's last great hoteliers is wildly accurate. Seeking the truth, Teresa drives to the mysterious Rosewood house. And even more intriguing than the house's beautiful garden is Miss Pierce's proposal that Teresa help her settle her old scores by writing her biography. Readers are then transported 50 years prior to meet Miss Pierce as a young woman. Her name is Adele, and she has been summoned from London to California to marry a wealthy American to save the family's fortune. Stifled by expectations in her new home, her only comfort is tending to the house and garden. However, even though she settles into her life there, a Californian fire, threatens everything that she holds dear. Next. An Unlikely Visitor by Joanna Cameron. Things have been hard since Margaret's husband Derek died, and they never got over the disappearance of their daughter Jeannie from years before. Now Margaret, all alone, moves through her days slowly. Then one day she returns home to an unlikely visitor, and together they set out to discover what really happened to Jeannie. Part mystery, part ghost story, and part meditation on grief, An Unlikely Visitor is a warm-hearted and hopeful reminder that the people we love are always with us. Next. And lastly, I'm ending with a memoir, They Told Me Back Home Would Be Beautiful by Elena Dudum. This is for book clubs who enjoy reading memoirs in particular. As a child, Elena understood Palestine as a place too important for maps, mythical and just out of reach. Her first trip to Palestine shattered that distance. Everything that she had been told and some things she hadn't, including checkpoints, raised olive groves, and all of the soldiers, are plainly in front of her, as were the ghosts of her family's history. The visit left her unsettled, gripped by an anxiety she couldn't name. Back in the US, she tried to outrun what she had seen, burying herself in elite institutions. Eventually, the inheritance she had tried to escape, however, demanded reckoning. In the tradition of Safia Sinclair's How to Say Babylon and Kathy Park Hong's Minor Feelings, Elena Dudum's transformational journey as she interrogates her evolving relationship to Palestine is not to be missed. Next. All right, that's everything for me. If you would like more recommendations or book club resources, you can go to simonandschuster.net/library. Next. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I'm sure I can speak for us all when I say we really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Melissa. And a big thank you to all of today's presenters. Tomorrow, all attendees will receive an email containing links to today's slide presentation, title list, certificate of completion, and video recording. For more about Booklist webinars, be sure to visit booklistonline.com/webinars, where you can view archives of past webinars and register for upcoming ones like those you see here. You can also find out about the latest webinars on our social channels. 150 years of empowering library professionals, advancing access to knowledge, and protecting the freedom to read. Since 1876, the American Library Association has embodied America's aspiration for knowledge and democracy, championing the professionals who make that promise real every day. Scan the QR code on the screen or visit ala150.org to learn how you can join us in helping shape the next 150 years of libraries. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. One more huge thank you to our panelists and to our sponsors, Dundurn Press, Macmillan, Shadow Mountain, HarperCollins, and Simon & Schuster. This concludes today's webinar. See you next time.